Welcome back for part 2 of Take Your Homeboy to Work Day podcast. We'll pick up where we left off. But before you go, we need your help to spread our message. So please subscribe, like, and rate 5 stars wherever you get your podcast and on LinkedIn at Take Your Homeboy to Work Day podcast. Thank you. Enjoy.
I don't even know how to describe those emotions, but I definitely understand how that can keep you going even when you may not feel like keep going. So that's really special. And I guess I wanted to start with Columbus Black because I know that's the foundation for you getting into tech and building MYLE, which you just alluded to. I guess I'd love to just maybe go over MYLE, color coded labs, your co-working space. Let's start with MYLE. How did Columbus Black build into MYLE?
First thing is I want to share something that you mentioned. You mentioned tech. Now, everything has evolved and changed. We had no idea that Columbus Black was a tech platform, right? It wasn't considered a tech platform. And we were doing email blasts before email blasts were created or known. We were basically doing social media before it became social media. And seeing everything kind of evolve was very enlightening for us. And it was like, wow. So that led into some of MYLE, but really MYLE came from, we had gathered some great learnings from having events and understanding our community, what we buy, what we eat, what we drink, right? And learning those things and how we could create habits or form habits from leveraging the technology and engaging folks. And then with MYLE, that came about from some conversations with a potential client opportunity. And from that conversation, it turned into, hey, how could we diversify a little bit more mainstream, which we had on our radar already. And then it turned into, how can we create like this perk for people so they could get acclimated faster and easier. And one thing led to another, right? And over time, it evolved into this concept, and it wasn't necessarily make your life entertaining at the time. It was more about lifestyle enhancement, but the technology basically evolved over time, because when we started this concept, right, and Sherry will attest to this, that we literally were talking about software at the time, which is interesting. We came back full circle to a software company, but at the time, it was a thing of apps did not exist, right? Like that's how far ago this idea came up. It was before apps. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the iPhone wasn't even it didn't have
Yeah.
those functions
And like
yet. So yeah,
literally
no,
all of
definitely
that
can
happened
understand.
while
Mhm.
when we relocated from Columbus to New York. That's when everything started to explode on the app side. Okay. Um, and that's actually during that time frame when Uber actually was launched, right? But we didn't even know about Uber at that time. That's like, how recent all this stuff happened. So anyway, the bottom line is that's how the idea came about and was formulated. Now, a big part of that too is I mentioned the 10 relocations over the 25 years. And what you learn in every one of those relocations that people are looking for the same things, right? Things to do, places to go, and food to eat. So if I'm living in New York City and I move from New York City, what would happen is friends will reach out and say, hey, where should we go in New York? Right. And that would happen for us all the time. People will reach out to us, hey, where should I go when I go to Atlanta? Because I used to live in Atlanta. Where should I go when we're here? Right. So it's a thing of, okay, if we could figure out how to do this through a technology-based platform, that would simplify that and make it easy for everyone. That was one side of it. Well, the other side is through Columbus Black, what helped Columbus Black to grow was promoting events. So some partners and I used to host events every single month. One of them was the mid-month mixer, but then I probably held, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 other types of events with other promoters over the years. So on the other side of MYLE, we learned that there are some key things that promoters need, right? One, you need a place to post your events. You need another place to promote your events, right? All in the same platform. You shouldn't have to say, I want to post an event on one platform and I want to go someplace else to promote it, right? So MYLE allows you to do that all in one. Well, then obviously the promoters like, hey, we'll love to use this platform, but we will need to be able to sell our tickets on it. So guess what? Now you can sell your tickets. And at the end of the day, we all know that everybody now wants data insights, right? So what about who's buying my
Mhm.
tickets, and what can we learn about people who are interested in my events, and how can we target more of those people to get more of them to come to our events based off the fact that they like what we do. So that's what we have literally been developing over the last 9 years. And we finally have a platform that people love because it allows you to find things to do, places to go, food to eat, and it allows event creators to post their events, promote their events, sell tickets to their events, and capture engagement insights from their audience, all on one platform.
Gotcha. Now, I guess I want to try to find a parallel with this next question. I love you have a real systematic way of how you thought about building your business and the value you want to provide. As you were going through corporate America, being in leadership, were there any parallels or thought processes that you learned in corporate America that you applied to MYLE and building your tech
Absolutely.
business?
So for me, what I didn't see happening at the time, but I ended up there's two things. One, being an African American in corporate America, you end up in a lot of different, at least I was blessed enough to be in a lot of different roles. The challenging part of that was in most cases I was the only one in those roles. But for me, because I was in retail, a lot of the opportunities that presented themselves were entrepreneurial based. That's the other good part about, being a retailer is like you run a business. You're responsible for the P&L if you run a store or a district or market. And, it's all about profit and loss and, how many people you're going to hire and how you're going to spend your money. So you control all that. You're an entrepreneur for another company at that time. And that's what they want. They want you to effectively run that business. And what I didn't realize was that the foundation was being created for me to literally run my own business. Okay. So a lot of those leadership skills, understanding how to manage teams, understanding, and I want to say managing teams as much as I want to say understanding how to lead and engage people, right? Because you want a team, but
Hmm.
everyone is their own individual, and you have to understand how to you have to understand what people's triggers are, right? What motivates them, inspire them. You got to get to know them. And that was one of the biggest things. So that comes into play every single day as an entrepreneur. No matter if I'm dealing with somebody on my team, someone who's a contractor, another business owner, a potential client, all of those foundations were built in my corporate career that I'm now able to apply as I'm doing what I'm doing with my businesses. And then in addition to that, just understanding business in itself, having a business sense from a professionalism standpoint, a paperwork and documentation standpoint, and now even more importantly, a numbers standpoint, understanding your financials, how your financials guide you to make the decisions for the business, running a profitable business, not just a business, but looking at profitability, because you could be making money but not making money. Okay. So that's very, very important and for people to understand. So yeah, hopefully that answered that question. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, yes, it did. And that's exactly why I really wanted you to come on as a guest. This background of corporate America, because a lot of times these days, corporate America is kind of shunned as selling yourself and selling your soul, and you aren't building anything for yourself, but you're able to talk about how the development and the growth internally help prepare you for entrepreneurship. So I really appreciate you finding those parallels and finding the value in corporate America that then helped you become successful in
You got it.
entrepreneurship. So that's awesome. Uh, as it relates to MYLE, where do you see it going? What's your goal and future? What do you
Yeah,
see
so
for it
with
in the next 5
Mile,
years?
we're super excited, right? If you think about where technology is, and if you think about how you spelled it out, the company is an entertainment software and lifestyle data analytics company, right? So what does that really mean for those that are like, what is
Mhm,
that? What is
mhm,
that, right? So on the front end, we're building software technology platforms that literally should make your life better, right? So and simplify things for you.
mhm,
Now, in this case, there's primarily going to be around entertainment, hospitality, and transportation. So far, we've built obviously Mile, the social activity and entertainment marketplace, which is available on your iOS, Android, and your desktop. So most people know of it as the Mile app, right? Why? Because that's what we've promoted it as, and
mhm,
that's because it is so enhanced and so comprehensive. We want people to really use it so that they can see entertainment in a different way that they've ever experienced. But what we're looking to build is an entire entertainment ecosystem. So that's the big picture. And I can't, because of the secret sauce, go through all the details of what that ecosystem looks like. Let's just say it does not exist today.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What we're does
Ah,
not exist.
okay. Uh-huh.
We're not copycatting what anybody else is doing. We are creating a new lane. And the plan and the goal is to disrupt the entertainment industry as we know it today by truly making your life entertaining no matter who you are or where you are. And there's so many facets to that. And these emerging technologies that are out there now are, you said you want to ask about this a little bit later, but if you think about AI, generative AI and what that is doing or going to do in the future. When you think about the people who have adopted NFTs and blockchain technology as well as the metaverse, right? Like we hear about these things, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're not necessarily delving into them and using them the way that we can or should. And we're excited to be on the forefront of a lot of that. And we once again, you can't see where we're headed, but we want everybody to be a part of where we're headed. So we invite people to download the app today, right? In the App Store under MYLE events. Go to our website, myle.com. Become a part of this ecosystem that we're building now and grow with us because what we're going to build, you're going to be amazed by over time.
That sounds exciting, man. That sounds really exciting. I'm going to make sure to put a link to the website and then to be able to download it in the show notes to make it as simple as possible so that people can join the community. So
Thank you
that
so
sounds
much.
really exciting. You know, and I love that you are a visionary thinker. And so, I want to ask this next question. It's really abstract. And I guess you can include your entire career experiences, include the future you're looking, some of the, your color coded labs. But as you think about your career and what you have accomplished and what you want to accomplish, if you had to describe that as a picture to a painter and they were going to draw it, what would you describe that picture as? How would you explain your career and what you're trying to accomplish for an artist?
That is a great question. And so as you were asking that question, I'm like, man, what is that? What is that picture? I would say, and it's still forming in my mind, but right now what I see is almost like a circular, you got to try to envision this, a circular ladder, right? That is going upward
Uh-huh.
into the sky up toward heaven, right? So,
Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh.
and to describe that as I'm like, and this is literally off the cuff, but that's the vision that I received. And as I'm thinking through what that is obviously, you know, continuing to climb upward, right? But at the end, wanting to end up in
Hmm.
heaven. And as you're going around in these circles, right, on the way up, there are different things that you experience as you go around those circles, right? So those are all the life experiences that are happening. And it's not like it's a straight path straight up, right? Like there's a that's in that circle as you're going up, it's it may come up and down a little bit as you're going toward the top. But um the goal here for me, especially right now, is yep, I started down here at one place. I've climbed this ladder and I will continue to climb this ladder. There will be ups and downs along the way, but the goal is to build a legacy along the way, right? So that ladder doesn't evaporate. It stays because it's the legacy that's being built along the way throughout this life, but with the goal of having a pathway for others to follow as well, with it all ending in the right place. And that's, through the faith that I have in God and what He's provided, the goal is to obviously end up in His kingdom, but to do a lot of great work along the way. So that would be the painting that I would have.
That's awesome. I can envision that now. So I know that can sometimes be a tough question to think abstractly, but I love the picture you painted, and thank you. And I guess let's take a couple of, a minute or two. We could talk about faith and how that has, I guess, enhanced you. We've talked a lot about the tangible skills you've learned, but having faith, an intangible belief system or support system has, I mean, been very important to you. You know, you've mentioned how it gave you the foundation to build Columbus Black through First Church of God, and you've talked about it, how it's, helped you. But I guess, could you just share for those who may not have faith or may not believe, why would you encourage somebody to become a believer, and how has it helped you, and how do you think it can help other people?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that. There are times that I have. I mean, like if most people listen to listen to this segment, a lot of people will be like, "Wow, he just kind of had a good, easy life," right? Is what it may come across as sound like. Um, but if they pay close attention to some things that I said, it clearly was not that, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
if you go back to where I grew up, how I grew up, the environment, single parent home. I'm not even gonna say no money. I'm just gonna say very little money, right? And then being able to grow into uh, the lifestyle that I've been able to live at this point through the corporate America piece and financial growth and all of that stuff, and then taking one of the biggest leaps that anybody could take of faith and saying, okay, God, you gave me everything that you said I needed, and I'm going to take this leap and I'm going to walk away from all of that money, right? Because I'm being told I'm supposed to be doing something
Hmm.
different and bigger, right? And literally having to
Hmm.
transform your lifestyle completely and lean on faith and only on faith, right? Like there are days where it's like, I don't know how I'm going to make it, and I have a family, right? So
Hmm.
I'm responsible for certain things, and it's like I don't know how, and then God provides a way, right? Like, but I lean in on Him. Like I literally
Hmm.
tell Him, I am completely relying on You. When you talk about a faith walk, I am on 150% faith walk every day. Okay, and I also have an
Hmm.
appreciation for
Hmm.
life and a respect for life because things, as we know, they change so fast. And I don't just mean like people dying instantly. I mean people ending up in critical condition or severe situations of complete life changes, like upside down. Like look at the tornadoes that are happening. Look at the hurricanes. Like people's lives are being turned upside down. Look at the accidents, right? Like it is one of those things where you have to appreciate everything you have every day, the ability to wake up, one, to be able to breathe, two, to be able to even get up, like and move. Like so many people can't move out the bed today, right? Sanity. People
Hmm.
don't have
Hmm.
sanity, right? They can't figure things out. People are waking up right now. They don't have food. They don't have shelter. They don't have love. They don't have support, right? Like respecting all of that and understand that I'm a vessel doing God's work. So when you actually look at everything, my whole scope, if you said, look at everything I'm doing is to impact somebody else's life. If you look at columbusblack.com, literally it's to connect people from a socialization standpoint for them to feel connected and feel like they have a place, right? That is so important. Number one, and get key information out to them. Number two, MYLE. While we created MYLE, and yes, it can generate wealth, it is still a tech startup. It is a growing business, which means there's been massive sacrifice to get it off the ground, and it's finally starting to grow, right? But we created Extra Mile
Hmm.
International, which is the nonprofit arm. So the goal is as MYLE grows, Extra Mile will grow as well. Now, Extra Mile is designed to expose and educate socioeconomically underserved youth and expose them to entertainment, arts, and travel experiences. Why? Because they don't have the money, their parents don't
Hmm.
have the money for them to have these experiences that could tug a passion, that could change their mindset, change their life so that they can change the world. Our goal is to take a percentage, up to 5% of everything that we make from ticketing fees, advertising fees, marketing revenue, and put that back into nonprofit organizations focused on those youth so that they can actually have those experiences and hopefully we can change one life at a time, right? So When people say, "Man, how do you get up with all this
Mm-hmm.
energy every day?" Is because I know the work I'm doing is to impact other lives. So every day I wake up ready to go because I'm doing God's work. Then you have color coded labs. We are literally teaching Black and brown folks how to code and helping them to increase their salaries by a minimum of $20,000 within 6 months. It's a 19-week boot camp, and then we're working with companies to
Mm-hmm.
hire these candidates. Okay, so now you have people that are making 30,000,
Mm-hmm.
40,000, 50,000 or less that are going into jobs paying them 50, 60, 70 or more. That is changing one household at a time. And that is how you get substantive, not band-aids, substantive growth economically and close the wealth gap that exists in our country, right? So that's one way we're changing lives there. And
Mm-hmm.
then last but not least is Venture Suite, right? So with Venture Suite, that is a co-working space. So same thing, it's in the King Lincoln Bronzeville district. So when you have entrepreneurs and innovators and creators that are working out of Starbucks, Panera Bread, Hilton lobbies, Marriott lobbies, now you have a home that you can go to that's inexpensive because you can't pay these other fees to go to these other co-working spaces. Now you can come to Venture Suite. It's off the bus line, it's easy, it's in your community, and you can connect with folks. You can help build your business. You can have a quiet space. So that's what we do there. Not to mention, it's a beautiful event space for those that can't afford to have events at other locations. And you got a beautiful space right in your community. So everything is literally to help make it better for other folks. And that's the legacy that's being built.
Man, salute to you for finding your purpose. That is amazing. I got a question about your co-working space. What neighborhood is it
Yeah,
in?
it's
What block is it
780
on?
Mount Vernon Avenue. Okay. It's in the King Lincoln
Mm-hmm.
Bronzeville district
Mm-hmm.
or area, right? It's right across the
Mm-hmm.
street from the Columbus
Mm-hmm.
Urban League. In which the Urban League actually owns the
Mm-hmm.
building. We lease that space out. They're a partner of ours and help to support what we're doing in the community. So it's right on 780 Mount Vernon Avenue, also across the street or catty corner from the King Arts Complex. So when you think about that whole area right there, how rich it is in history, it's a block away from the Lincoln Theater. It's a block and a half away from Adelphi Bank. So the first Black-owned bank here in Central Ohio, got to give a plug to them as well. So this is a very
Yeah.
historic and very rich in history area, and we happen to be one of the pillars on the corner there as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. My grandmother
Mhm.
attends Shiloh. I attended Shiloh with her growing up there, and that's, I think, the third oldest missionary Baptist church in all of Ohio. It's a landmark. So that whole neighborhood is filled with landmarks as it relates to the Black community. So thank you for explaining where it is and where people
Absolutely.
can find it. Now, I have a couple more questions for you. You mentioned earlier that you weren't necessarily born with the entrepreneurship bug, but it was birthed inside of you later. Now, before you went into entrepreneurship, I imagined you had an image of what it was, and then you actually stepped into entrepreneurship. What was the biggest misconception, or what was the biggest difference between what you thought entrepreneurship was and what it actually is?
That's a really good question. But I had some help. So let me see. So let's go back to what
Okay.
was my perception before. I mean, I would say I thought it was hard work, right? I would say I didn't look at entrepreneurship like
Mhm.
the glory, oh, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur and be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm gonna be balling out of control. That was not my perspective of it, probably because of being in retail and kind of being an entrepreneur, but for another business and actually starting new business concepts, literally for companies. So I knew the work that was required. And I think I expected that as well. Now, what I didn't um understand as much was the sales cycle and how long it would take to get deals done. I didn't understand at the time
Mhm.
that people that you thought would help you wouldn't, and that the people that you thought wouldn't would. The people you least expect to be there for you and advocate and open up a door for you are the people that will. Sometimes it's the people you just met. And then the people that you have access to that you know that you think will do those things for you, they don't. So, and by the way, not in and I don't necessarily say that in a negative way. I say that it just doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that they don't want to.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know how to, or they just don't do it. Right. So those are things that I didn't understand as much, but then what helped me too before I started, when I first started talking about mentors, and I'll give a plug to Richard Crockett, even though I have a lot. Like it'll be hard for me to name everybody who's mentored me. Okay. But this specific conversation, I use a lot of time with people when they reach out to me about entrepreneurship and they're taking that leap. And I'm like, okay, let me share what you will share with me. And what I loved about, what he shared with me, first thing he said was about time, right? So he showed to me the faith that he had and belief he had in me, that he was wondering what took me so long to actually take the step, right? Um, because he felt like I had what I
Mm-hmm.
needed to make that happen. So then the second thing was he explained it to me. He was like, right now, man, it's like being in the wilderness and you feel like you're just out there naked all by yourself, right? Like you're just like no clothes on. And he says, once you
Mm-hmm.
get a grasp of your finances and how you can bring in enough to begin to feel like, okay, this is how I can make it, you'll start to basically put some clothes on, right? Because you're in this wilderness. So you'll start to, you might get some underwear now, you get a sock here, you get your hair, you know? And that analogy, it was so like it helped me to understand like, okay, one piece at a time, one step at a time, and you just got to keep going too. That's one of the things that, is interesting about entrepreneurship. People will give up on entrepreneurship so fast, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years in, but if you think about it, if you go to get a degree, people will go to school for minimum 2, but most cases 4, 8, 10 years, right? To become what they want to become.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, entrepreneurship is very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's learnings that come along the way. Like if you took it as a each year, like going to school, like if you said, okay, I'm going to school for 4 years. Well, if you said I'm gonna become an entrepreneur and I'm gonna give myself at least 4 years to go at this thing and to learn each year, because as a senior or a junior or a senior, you're not like you were as a freshman, right? So it's the same way in
Right. Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship. You have to one go in and then build a foundation and learn the basics of becoming an entrepreneur. That's where I think accelerators are like really really phenomenal because they help you to understand some of the basics you should have. They normally help you open up your first door, meaning a client or client base or whatever that may be, and you literally build your foundation and you grow from there. Okay, so that for me is like I look at entrepreneurship so differently now because of all that I've been through, right? So this is 18 years where I did double duty. Well, let me say 14 of the 18 I did double duty. And then the last 4.5 has been purebred out here in the wilderness. Putting on one sock and one finger of a glove at a time, right? Um, it's like so that's what that
Yep.
is. But it listen, it's worth it because of the autonomy, the flexibility. Something I don't share as openly, but my sister, one of my older sisters passed back in 2013. And one of the things I struggled with was not being able to be like my one of my other sisters, we spent a lot of time with her, right? Leading up. And then literally though, like that last, I would say 30 days of her life, I wasn't with her as frequently as I was prior to that, and that bothered me, and that still to this day bothers me because it's like I didn't have the autonomy and the flexibility to just take care of my family the way I wanted to at that time. And so one of my motivators to
Mm-hmm.
actually become an entrepreneur was to make sure that I would have that ability to do that. And what I will tell you is my mom had a situation about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, medical situation, and my sister and I needed to take care of her, and I was able to go to New York and just spend that time and be there with her and come back home and then go back there. That for me is one of the main reasons why I did it. And I thank God that I was in a position enough to be able to be there for her and help her to recover. And now she's doing well. So those are everybody has their why. I have multiple whys, but the family
Mm-hmm.
piece, right? The autonomy, the flexibility, the wanting to build this legacy and impact other lives for me is my reason for it. So when you think about like, okay, would you think about entrepreneurship before versus now? it's a totally different reason why and how I look at it now versus then.
Respect, my brother. Respect, man. Respect. And I guess one last question about entrepreneurship. What books or resources do you read that keep you updated on innovation or keep you motivated?
Oh man, I try to um between leadership books or entrepreneurial books, right? Um, is what kind of keeps me motivated for the most part. I'm always like reading some type of article, or now there's things on social all the time, right? Social media to kind of stay abreast of certain things. But for me, there are like, anytime I can get into a good book around the things that I'm doing, that's what motivates me. Like one of them is that I'll share is oh, this is directly related to my industry, which is unique, right? So we have a marketplace. There was this book called The Cold Start Problem. And man, you talking about getting the answers to the
Mhm.
test on your business model and getting you motivated and inspired to just like go harder. Like that one for me was a big one. There's another one by Eric Ries, The Lean Startup. That book, anybody
Okay.
who's want to become an entrepreneur, it's the same thing with the cold start problem. If you're going to start a business, you have to have the cold start problem because you're starting from scratch. And along the way, you're going to always start from scratch
Hmm.
again. Now, with the lean startup, that book was inspiring because of the fact that every business and every company should be thinking about innovation, what's next, testing things out, iterating, trying something new, see if it works, trying something else. Like you gotta, if you don't have that mindset, you're going to fail because something new is going to come along and people are going to move over. And if you're not on the forefront or have a part of your business that looks at innovation, what's coming up, and you're willing to try different things and learn different things, you're gonna fail, right? And that I've seen company I've worked for companies where it's
Hmm.
happened. So that's how I stay motivated and inspired is looking for and listening, to friends who are in the same circle that come up with these different amazing books and share them. And then I have a list of all these books that I want to read. And then guess what? When I have some downtime, I just pull one of them up on Audible and I listen, especially when I drive, 'cause I drive a lot. That's my tranquility. I love to drive and I could drive pretty much anywhere. But during that time, I can listen to books.
Awesome. Thank you for those jewels and the actual books. I'm gonna try to put a link to those like on Amazon in the show notes also. So thank you for actually
You
giving
got it.
some titles and authors. Well, we are coming down to the end of this conversation. This has been so enriching. Before you go, though, I like to ask some pop quiz
Uh-oh.
questions, some fun questions where the listeners can learn a little bit about who you are
Uh-oh.
and a little bit about your interests
Uh-oh.
outside of work. All right? Yeah. Is right. So the first one, man, the first one, I'm gonna create the scenario for you. You are an A&R at a music company, at a label, and you've been given an unlimited budget to create your perfect song, we'll call it. You get the choice to choose any three artists and then one producer or beat maker. And you can get them in the studio and they have to use their collective creativity to create a song. Which three artists are you choosing? And which producer or beat maker are you
Oh my.
choosing?
Oh man, hold up. So,
I love stumping people with this
yeah,
question. I love stumping people.
man, so let me start here. Probably on the producer side, I'm gonna say Swiss Beats. Um, and then
Okay,
on
respect. Yep, yep.
the
Mhm,
oh, on the and it's so by the way, it's gonna be hip hop. So first of all, right? So I'm gonna end up
mhm,
going, if I could get three in the room, I'm gonna go Jay, right? So I gotta go Jay-Z. I gotta
mhm,
go,
mhm,
I'm gonna go KRS-One, and
mhm,
I'm gonna
mhm.
flip it up in the middle. I'm gonna go Missy Elliott.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, those four minds into a room, that's gonna be a
Yeah.
powerhouse hit. I know I put you on the spot, and that could be a really tough question, especially when music is so emotional and it could change. But those are three
No
heavy
doubt.
hitters. So thank
No
you for
doubt.
answering that. And then the second question: if they were going to make a movie about your life, what actor would you choose to play you in that movie?
I have to go with Michael, man. He killing the game right now. Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah. That yeah, man.
You
But
talking
B.
about B
Jordan.
Jordan? B Jordan, right? Okay.
Yeah. That would be the
Bet.
dude. That would be the dude. Yeah.
Bet. Well, well, man, Kevin, this has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you being so open and honest and giving candor about your journey through growing up in New York, college, starting off in corporate America, entrepreneurship, how it's helped you build a better relationship with your family and fully and actually fulfill your purpose and what you want to do in life. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we go, is there anything you'd love to leave our audience with?
Oh man. I first of all, I will start off with a big thank you to you, right? So I have the ability. So one of the things that I do on Columbus Black is I actually do a support Black business series where I highlight what I call movers shakers and bakers, and then I also do this piece where we highlight these entrepreneurs and talk about their businesses, and I do what you just did. So I have mad respect, as you've said multiple times, for you for what you're doing with your podcast. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story because I'm always making sure everybody else tell their story. And it's very rare that somebody says,
Mhm.
"Hey, I want you to tell your story." So thank you for that opportunity. Number one. Number two is that I hope that what I've shared, and this is what I tell people before my shows, and I hope this happened here. I hope that this has helped one person at least, right? If at least one person can um have an impact, or this can have an impact on their lives and how they either think about something, how it motivates or inspires them, or understand that they're not the only one going through a situation, that for me would be rewarding. And hopefully that actually happens. And I look forward to helping to push this out as well to kind of spread this message. And then the third thing that I would tell people is keep going, right? Your vision is your vision, and it's not for everybody to understand your vision because God gave you your vision. And you have to make sure that you learn as much as you can, apply, and then lean on Him for guidance and faith and direction to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. Don't feel like because everybody doesn't get who you are or what it is you do, that something's wrong with you. Because that's why we're all different. God gave us all a different personality, different skill set. That's why we have different thumbprints, right? And we are all unique, and we have to realize that. And if other people can just take a moment to respect the uniqueness of other individuals, I think we get so much further along than we are today. Like, God put us all here for a reason. We all supposed to do our thing. So support people in what they're doing and respect the fact that they're doing what they do. They're not you, they're not supposed to be you, and you're not them, and you're not supposed to be them. And with that, I'll leave it at that, man. I appreciate it. People can follow me on LinkedIn, Kevin Lloyd the Leader. The same on Facebook. I'm on Instagram and Twitter under the same handles. And yeah, man, whatever I can do to continue to help people, that's my goal.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, thank you, sir. I'm sure you've been an inspiration for the listeners. I appreciate your time,
You do
and
the same.
have a
Keep
great
going.
rest of the day.
Take care, Brandon.
I
Bye-bye.
will. Yes, sir.
Hey, before you go, we need your help to spread our message. So please subscribe, like, and rate 5 stars wherever you get your podcast and on LinkedIn at Take Your Homeboy to Work Day Podcast. Thank you.